Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We got this 2009 Kia Rio in front of us and we are going to be doing a timing belt. So thank you so much for joining me today and let's get started. Alright, so first thing we need to do on this timing belt is to remove this tire. There's a timing belt cover back there and then that comes and that's where we can get access. So let's get this thing jacked up on some jack stands and we'll get this tire off and we'll get started. All right guys, so we're about to take this tire off. We got it on the jack stands. It's going to be a 21. All right, it's going to be a 21 millimeter that you're going to use to take these studs off. If you can do this by hand, but we got a tool, so let's use it. All right, let's get it done. All right guys, just to give you a helpful tip of the day, these are egg cartons. So if you go to the store, get yourself some eggs, use all the eggs, get some of these plastic ones, the eggs that come in with plastic containers. And basically these are great bolt and nut and whatever comes off the car holders. And so you can keep them in order. So like you got these lug nuts, I could throw these in the first 4 slots because I know that's what I first took off of this vehicle, and then you just keep on working through. And these are nice because they kind of fold in on themselves. So if you only use the 12 slots, you can close them up and then keep it safe. Nothing gets out. But if you need all of them, then you have 24 slots to put different bolts and nuts in the order that they come off the vehicle. So that's your helpful tip of the day. Now go use it. All right, so we got the wheel off of this 2009 Kia Rio to get us access to basically this timing belt cover and then the pulley that's behind there. So we have 2 M10s. So we're gonna go ahead and take those off of that cover. You can see they're tying in there and there, so we can get access to that pulley. All right, so we got this cover off. This reveals our bottom pulleys. So here you are. So this is our timing belt pulley, another secondary pulley, and then we have a tensioner or adjuster back here. So this is going to be a 22 millimeter. This is going to be a 14 millimeter, and this is going to be a 12 millimeter. So let's go ahead and get those done and pop them off. All right, let's get started. Alright, so we're just going to loosen this guy up. Alright, that's loose. And then you loosen that adjuster. So that guy's loose too. Alright. Now, let's go to the top of the engine. So we're going to take this alternator pulley loose, and so there's 4 10 millimeters on there. So we're just going to take our 10 millimeter wrench and we're going to get those loosened up. So on this power steering pump up here, we want to get these bolts loosed on this pulley. So you're going to take a 19 millimeter, put on this, and basically you're just going to rotate it until you can get access to this one bolt right here. So rotate, rotate, oh, and then you should be able to get access to that. All right, so then you're going to take a 12 millimeter and we're going to loosen up this bolt on this power steering pump. So here we go. All right, so there's one, and then there's another one on this side. I'm just going to loosen up that so then we can adjust this so that we can move this guy to loosen this belt. Yep, just like that. So now that belt's loose. All right, underneath the car now, here's your oil pan. You see, there's your alternator. We got a, let's see if we can point it out. We've got a 12 millimeter right here. If I can find it, right there. So that 12 millimeter will loosen up, and then that will give us, so we can loosen the belt. So for the alternator. All right, man, it's hot out here. Woo! Let's get that loosened. Loose now. Whew. Back to the top of the engine. All right, we're back at the top of the engine. Here's this engine mount. So all these bolts are 14s. So you got 3 bolts that are 14s. This is a 17 back here. So that guy's a 17. This grounding strap is a 12. This is kind of like an energy absorber. So it helps reduce vibrations on the engine. You don't need to take that off. It will come together. So we're gonna just loosen these up now. All right, so that's too tight. We're gonna jack up the engine a little bit more. All right. Still not wanting to go. Let's see what. Ooh. Well, we can at least get this grounded strap off. There we go. Perfect. All right. So that's off. All right, there's that one. Let's come back to those 314s. So there's one, 2, that one's not wanting to come. All right, you know what they say, if a smaller hammer doesn't work, use a bigger hammer. So in this case, it's a bigger impact. All right, and that one came loose. Nice. So we're gonna pull that guy as well. Yeah, there you go. So now this should be free, and I should be able to just wiggle this guy off. Come on. There we go. There we go. And it's off. All right. Next, we're going to move on to the belts. So I'm going to try to get down in here and shove that alternator that way. We're going that way with the alternator over here. So let me readjust the camera and get you a better angle. So this alternator's got another basically mounting location up top. So there's a bracket right there. I got the wrench right there on it, and that kind of holds it in place. So we're going to loosen that up so that this can tilt back to give us some less tension on this belt, so we can actually get this belt off for the alternator. All right, let's do that. All right, let's get that belt off and let's loosen this alternator up. Where did that fall? There it is. All right, we got that out. That was a little bit more of a pain than I thought it was going to be. So the alternator should be loose so that we can push it that way to get this belt off. All right, let's get into it. Yeah, just like that. So this belt I should just be able to pop off. Boom, belt, easy. All right, set that off to the side, keep track of it. All right, next, we're going to go after this. This is your power steering pump. So we're just going to tilt this guy off. And so this is free spinning. So if you just basically take it and twist it, that'll pop off too. All right. And so this can be a little bit of a pain to get out. So we're just gonna slide that back, kind of around, twist it. All right, there we go. There's your power steering belt. And you can see this is pretty well worn. You can see all those cracks in the teeth. So we're gonna replace that anyways. Keep track of it though. All right, and let's go to the next step. So now we're gonna go ahead and take this accessory pulley off. That's those M10s, 10 millimeter that we loosened earlier. So let's get our 10 millimeter wrench. All right, we can pull this guy off. These are basically finger loose. So I'm gonna just take them all the way, the rest of it out. If we get hooked up, we might need that wrench, but since these are already loose. All right. See, those two are still pretty tight. There we go. Loosen those guys up. Whew. We heard that hit the ground, so thankful about that. Got it. All right. So this is a two-piece pulley, and basically There is no locator on these. There's no locating dowel. So that will be a little bit of fun to get that back in there. Right. So that's off now. So now we're going to move down to the bottom pulley that we have. All right, let's do that. So we're down back at the bottom of the engine. This is the one we took out earlier, so it's just hand tightened in there. When we pull this, all of this whole thing should come off. All right. All right, got that. And this should just shimmy off. Like so. So, there we go. All right, that's off. Cool beans. All right, so we're at the top of the engine again. This is the top cover for the timing belt. And so there's five of these bolts that run in here to hold this cover on. These are all 10 millimeters. So we're gonna go through and loosen them and pull off this cover. So let's do that. All right, so we got those 5 bolts off. This cover should just slide off now. Maybe. What am I stuck on? Just wiggle it. There we go. And so this has got a gasket that goes around it. Make sure we grab that gasket as well. So this gasket right here. All right, it covers off. This is your timing belt. So since we got this timing belt cover off, we're going to do the bottoms now. Same process. It looks like there's probably 2 or 3 of those M10s that will pop off and get this bottom cover off right down here. And then that will reveal the timing belt altogether. So as of right now, this timing belt looks really clean. So this is a pretty well maintained Kia Rio. It's only got like 67,000 miles on it. So this is really good condition. I'm changing it at the interval. So interval's 60,000 miles on it. So we're just doing a fresh, clean install on this. So let's go ahead and take this bottom cover off. Go for it. All right, so we got this bottom cover off of it, of the timing belt housing. It's got this little guy. Don't lose that guy. It's a little retainer dish thing. So there you go. All right. All right, so next, what we're gonna do is, you see we got a little hole right there. And that little hole tells us where our timing is at on this timing chain. And so we need to line that up with the factory mark on this motor. And that will basically make sure that everything is in line and sync. And so when we swap these belts off, we're not out of time. This is an interference engine. So that means if your timing's off, it will make basically your cylinders will smack into your valves, and then it'll bend something will break. So let's get into it. So I'm going to try to show you what I'm seeing. So if I put a light in between these grooves, and you see that little hole right there, see how it's kind of like a red behind it? That means we're in time with this. This means that's a factory mark, so we're in time. So we're good there. All right, now we gotta do the bottom down there, and you can pull the belt off. So here's our timing belt. We're at the bottom of the engine right now, and we have this tensioner right here. There's 2 bolts right here and here, and basically we have to loosen those up to back this tensioner off, so then we can remove this timing belt. We've already checked to make sure the timing belt is in time, basically based off of that red mark at the top of the engine that we lined up earlier. So this engine should be in time. So when we remove this and put the new timing belt on, we should be good to go. All right, let's go ahead and back off this pulley and we'll get this belt off. So we got this belt tensioner off. Here's the old one. So So we're moving up here, and we're gonna pull this guy. This is like a runner, so that the belt can stay on track. So we're gonna pull this guy off now. So that's off. That's what that looks like. We got a new one that we're gonna throw on there. That gets torqued to 40 foot-pounds, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna throw some anti-seize on there because that's what they did from the factory. So let's do that now. Got the anti-seize, so we're gonna put that in the new one. And we're just gonna put this back where we found it. I started those threads, so we're gonna zap this in and then we'll torque it to 40. All right, it's zapped in. We're gonna get our torque wrench out. And we're gonna set this for 40. Torque wrench. See if that focuses. It's having a hard time. 40s right there. Got it set. So there's 40. All right, make sure this still spins freely. All right, that's still good. So it's still spinning. All right, so here's the bottom belt tensioner. Spring goes like that, kind of rides on there, right there. And then there's another tab on the actual engine block that this rests on it to provide tension on it. So let's go ahead and get that in, and then we will move on from there. Alright, so we got our tensioner installed down there. So what we're going to do is we're going to install this belt on this side, and we want it to be tight. So we want it tight on this side, loose on this side, so that when we loosen the tensioner, it will put it where it wants it. And this will allow us not to be off timing by a tooth or two tooths. So let me show you what I mean, and we'll go from there. Let's make sure this guy is nice and tight. So yeah, nice and tight, somewhat loose. All right, so we're going to check our marks again. Our timing mark. It's good there. Yep, it's right there. Going to go to the bottom now, down there. Check that timing mark. There it is. So we're gonna just loosen that guy up. He will move. He wants to move. But alright, so that's got some tension on it now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here. I'll find that bolt again. Where did that go? There it is. Alright, then we're just gonna snug a dug it. Alright. Alright. Snug and dug. And then we're gonna take our pulley. We're gonna put that bad boy back on. Here we go. Slide that guy back on. Take our bolt. That guy in. And this is just hold everything in. Make sure nothing's gonna back out. All right. Then we're gonna rotate this 2 times and see where it lands. Alright, that one looks good. So it seems like they're lined up down there. Let's check back up here. Yep, that looks good. Alright, so we checked that. Now let's go back down here and pull off that pulley and then check the tensioner to make sure it's set correctly. There it is. It's loose. Now we're just gonna give it a little bit of a pry. Where that settles. Alright, it's settled. Okay. Gonna go back in. Back up. Alright, these bolts for this pulley tensioner, belt tensioner, these are 20 foot-pounds. So let's go ahead and get our ratchet and we'll torque those. This way. There's good. All right, top cover. Make sure we keep this gasket around here. All right, and then we're just gonna slide this puppy back on. make sure we get it pretty daggone good here. So we got this rear, looks like it's like a electrical harness bracket back there, so make sure we tie this guy in back here. Alright, 4 bolts holding this in. 2 up top, 2 at the bottom. Just gonna get them started. Alright, there we go. Those are started. There it is. There's that one. Here's this guy. All right, all of them are started. And rip that glove. Okay. I don't recommend using an impact on these, especially on a plastic container, but I'm lazy, so do as you want at your own will. That's right. You should stop right there. Let's get this guy. Alright. Alright, there we go. That one's pretty good. Get these top ones. There's that one. There we go. So those are all tight, good to go. All right. Timing belt covers are officially on. So there we go. And we are going to move on. We're going to start getting on the rest of the belts. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I'm going to get this pulley on down here. All right, another tool tip of the day. So this is a torque wrench. So when you're storing torque wrenches, you do not want to keep them tightened up on the spring. So this can ruin their calibration if they sit like this and ultimately stretch out that spring. And so basically what you want to do when storing these is take them all the way out to the point where there's no tension on them, and this will keep them more accurate and they will last you longer. So there's your helpful tip of the day. Now go use it. So we're back working on the Kia Rio again. So we left off yesterday. New day. We have to get that lower pulley snug-a-dugged on there, and then we have to get this pulley up here on, and all the belts back on, and the engine mount back on, and the tire and everything else. So basically buttoning up all this area and all in this and everything else. So we have a little bit of a task in front of us, so let's hop right into it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and let's do this. So the torque spec on this bolt right here, this is 110. So we're gonna go ahead and get one of our torque bars and put it on our impact, and we're gonna torque that down. So I got these guys. This is a torque bar rated for 110, and then we're gonna slap that on our impact, and we'll get that all tightened up. All right, 110, like so. I think we're good to go on that guy. We'll get our Sharpie, and if you got a paint marker, use a paint marker, but this is a witness mark, so that if we come down here and we see that bolt's backed off a little bit, we know that's coming loose and we need to go back in and tighten it again. So there you go. All right, let's go to the top. So now we have this. This is our 2-part pulley. We need to put them back together like that. And so these don't have reference dowels on them, so we kind of just hope for the best. Go from there. Oh, that's perfect. So I brought one of these center punches. This is just going to help us locate. And so what you're going to do is there's a basically little star guide down here. You're going to put one of these tabs up like that, and then we're basically going to come down here with our pulley. We're going to see if we can get that to, well, this might, hold on there. Try this again. Allen key. Take this in, slide it through there. As we come down, we're trying to locate that Allen key through one of these bolt holes. And so if you have issues getting these to start after you got 1 or 2 of them in, what you're going to want to do, and this is a helpful tip of the day, so instead of trying to tighten it down and just trying to hope that it goes into that slot, if you turn it as if you're loosening it, and just ever so slightly, you'll feel it drop into that thread. You'll feel it drop into that thread and it will engage, and then you can rotate it forward. And this will help you start bolts and allow you not to cross thread them and things like that. So there's your helpful tip of the day. Now go use it. All right, we got all those started. Let's grab our 10mm and we'll tighten all those down. Here. Now we're going to tighten these all in. And you don't have to do this, but I'm tightening them down in kind of a star pattern. So you can tighten them all around. But when you tighten in kind of that pattern, and make sure that you get the pulley engaging evenly all the way across, instead of like having it cattywampus one way or another. So, all right, those are officially all timed. I know you can't really see what I'm doing, but you just have to believe me that those are tightened. All right. Here, I'll show you real quick. So, the pulley we're looking at is right there. So, those 4 bolts are the ones that we tightened. And so now this is on, and we're ready for belts. So now with that, we got these pulleys on. We're gonna go ahead and put the belts for these. And we're gonna first start off with this power steering pump pulley. We have a new belt for that, so we're gonna throw that guy on now, and then we'll move on from there. So we got the belts on, we got this guy in, all these belts are in, we tightened up our tensioners, and then basically this alternator, this is what actually tensions it. So basically this moves in and out. On these belts, I noticed some wear on this bottom serpentine belt. However, I don't have a replacement, so I'm just making do for what I have. I replaced this new belt up here. This one looked good, this one looked good, this one was questionable back there. Yeah, this guy back here, right there. So when you're tensioning these belts, you want to be able to rotate these about a 1/4 turn. So like this should be flexing about a 1/4. This was this. So this one's a little bit tougher, but you should be able to rotate around a 1/4. If it's more than a 1/4, like towards a 1/2, you need to put more tension on it, or your belt's worn out. You need to replace the belt if you're maxed out on your basically your adjustment. So we're gonna lower this engine down just a little bit so that this is level with this, so we can put our engine mount on, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we got these bolts right here started for this main top engine mount. These bolts, these 14 millimeters, these get torqued to 35 foot-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So, all right, 35. 35. 35. All right, so now we got that. We'll torque this guy as well, this bolt. So we have everything back together at this point. So let's go ahead and start it up. We'll figure out if we're going to blow up our engine or not. No check engine light. Everything looks good. This feels great. Wonderful. So let's get that wheel back on and get it off the jack stands. here. There we go. So our wheel nuts. Let's throw those on real quick. We have anti-seize on these, so I'm not going to re-anti-seize them. With that, you anti-seize the surface you're mating up against with your wheel, as well as your studs for your lug nuts. It makes the tire coming off of the car a lot easier. So another little bit of a tip if you're getting into cars or new in the car scene. Just thought that would help out a little bit. So, alright. So there we go. Take that on. So these, I usually torque lug nuts to 90. 90, and then these are 21s. So I got my 90 breaker bar, so we're gonna just impact these in real quick. There we go. I'm just driving these in a star pattern. I'm not torquing these up quite yet. So I'm just kind of going around, sinking these in. So I'm going to push on it like that, adjust it. Okay. And just keep working yourself around this wheel in a cross hatch pattern. Okay. Okay. All right, now we're going to torque them. Okay. There we go. And this is on here. We're going to pull this jack stand, let this down easily. Alright. Jack stand pulled. Lowering this down just real smooth, real smooth. Just like that. Pull this. So one wheel down. Let's go to the other side and get the other jack stand. Nice and easy. Alright, test drive time. Alright, let's see how this goes. Take it down the road real quick. Look at that. still got some vibration in the steering wheel. That was a result of the accident. We need to get that addressed. I don't know. I think it might be, it seems like a lot better. Like the power steering is completely back. So I think we fixed that with the belt. But I think our steering rack might be bent. Because like once you hit 60, it starts to vibrate, and then it only gets worse as you get more speed. We'll turn around right here. Yeah. Yep. Oh, these are such good cars. These cars remind me of what when Japanese first came over, those imports, the first imports of Japanese cars, this reminds me of those a lot. Just their chimes and the way they handle, and like it will hold those RPMs all the way up to redline, and it does it no problem. Just very good cars, very simple cars to work on. Just very good. Like, I mean, this was in a pretty hardcore accident, and you know, we rebuilt the front end and got it put back together, and we just did timing belt on this, and it seems like it's doing really well. Like, I mean, like I said, you hit 60, the steering wheel starts to vibrate. I mean, that's like way better than what it was. So I think yeah, I don't think we'll have to do a power steering pump on it. It definitely needs an alignment, but other than that, this is a pretty good get up and go. I'm gonna actually be lending this to a friend who's going through he's going through a divorce with his marriage, and basically you know, his previous wife took both of his cars, so there was a little bit of time crunch on this to get it done and get it ready for him, and so he's going to be driving this for the meantime. But yeah, that power steering, that's way better. Like, I wasn't able to do that one-handed before, and I can do that like one-handed no problem. It seems very good, seems very healthy, and it's not whining a whole bunch. So, but yeah, so he's going to be borrowing it for a time until he can get another car. So we'll leave that there. Thank you for joining me on this bit of a journey to get to this point. It took a lot more time than I thought it was going to, but that's what you get when you're working on stuff yourself and you're figuring things out on your own. So just to let that be a testament, just don't get too distraught when working on stuff. If you get upset or get angry or frustrated, just walk away for a little bit and then come back to it. But don't stop working on cars, because they're such a joy to work on and to drive. So thank you again for sticking out with me, hanging out with me at the garage and working on this car. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. All right, goodbye.